There we
Well,
go.
welcome everyone to our first speaker series of this year for us, which is September. Starts in September. And today we're going to be talking about women in skilled trades. I'm hoping everybody saw the speakers' bios. I am Dani Bartlett, co-ED for the Gender Equality Coalition, and I'm a welder by trade. Our speakers are, I'll start with Tracey. So Tracey Whiteye was one of our first board members at GECO, one of my favorite humans, and she is a leader in her community and also one of the first welders in her community when she started her career. So welcome, Tracey. And then Aliesha is a trainer and a kick-ass skilled trades woman from Lyona 1059. I just had the pleasure to travel to Chicago with her, and it's pretty impressive. So I can't wait for you to get to hear from her. And then Jim is probably one of my first mentors. And in back in the days when I was going for my welding tickets and things were hard, Jim always encouraged me. Welcome, everyone. Sorry, I'm trying to let people in while I'm talking. Okay, so let's get started. The first question is, what does gender equality mean to you?
Who goes first?
And we'll start with Tracey.
Hold on, let me find my audio button. Um, so what does gender justice mean to me?
Yes.
Gender justice means to me, it can come in from, from an Indigenous lens and a non-Indigenous lens. And at times, as an Indigenous woman growing up in a First Nations community, as a daughter of a residential school survivor and a day school survivor, um, is it's about dismantling colonization, but also knowing that because I'm an Indigenous woman that understands and practices matriarchy, but also you know gender violence is knowing that part of my purpose and skills is my dad taught me how to hunt and fish since I was a little girl. He's seen those skills. He's seen that that was something I was good at growing up, and then to be able to grow into the skilled trades and one of the first women welders in Chatham, Kent at SAS Manufacturing, and to be able to create spaces, you know, trail blazing the trail for future, women, transgender, two spirit, to live out their purpose, to be able to have the opportunity to their purpose in getting their welding tickets. Maybe that gift is to be able to read blueprints, schematics, all of those things that are important. And if that's part of that fulfills their hope and peace and providing for the family, I mean, to me, that's what gender justice is to be able to give everybody an equal opportunity to succeed and to live that good life and skilled trades, if that happens to be their gift, that we need to support them.
Amazing. I love that. Alicia, what does gender justice mean to you?
For me, I think it's more normalizing just women in man's world, as they say. I know for me, when I started out in like 2007, 2008 in the automotive world, I had a really hard time trying to find someone to take me in. And at first, it was a co-op I was doing through Webull, and I would make phone calls, and I literally had people kind of like laughing at me, asking if that's what I really wanted to do, if I wanted to be a secretary, flat out saying no. Like it was, I called almost every shop in London at the time, and I could not find anyone to take me on. And then thankfully, my teacher kind of helped me out with that. But I mean, it's 2025 now, and I think gender justice is just like normalizing women in trades, giving them the opportunity, making it a little bit easier for them to have the rights to try different trades, not just expecting them to fail right away and actually giving them the chance to be in it and then learning that we can actually do it. Things like that, right?
Awesome. And Jim.
Yeah, I guess for me it means a lot of things, but it means that my daughter or my sister, my wife should all have the same opportunity I had, and I think it really starts with introducing young women, young girls to the tools. Just to, when I grew up, I'm an old guy, by the way. And when I grew up, we were streamed, guys went this way and the girls went that way. And it's unfortunate because there isn't anything that can't be done equally by a woman that could be done by a man. And I know that. I recognize that. And sometimes, women, if they were showed, I believe, if they were showed it early, they'd probably make different decisions moving forward through schooling and everything else. Not every, my son, didn't get accepted into college right away, and I tried to get him into a trade, and the guy that hired him fired him and told me, your son, you might be a tradesman, but your son's never going to be one. And and he didn't like it either. He hated going to work. But my daughter, I got her in a factory, and I would say not a skill, but a semi-skill, not a licensed trade, but I remember when she came home and said, I'm a certified solderer. She was making circuit boards and all that. And she was as proud as could be. And she found a place for herself. And
yeah, it's funny you say that.
It's really important that we allow it.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I always had a tool in my hand. Like I don't ever remember, I had tools in my hand when I was 3 years old running after my dad, and I don't ever remember it being weird. And it was, I don't know, when I went to welding school, I guess, when I realized people didn't think I could do it because I was a girl, and it was shocking. I was shocked, but yeah, I agree. We have to normalize it. All right, Aliesha, why did you join the skill trades?
The trades in general, I joined because I knew from a very young age that a classroom setting wasn't for me. I don't really learn by someone telling me about it or reading a book or anything like that. I'm more of I need to be able to see it. If I can touch it, take it apart, put it back together, I can tell you absolutely everything about it. And then also when I was probably 6 years old, I had a passion for cars. I loved cars. I told everyone in my family that I would be a mechanic. They kind of just chuckled at me and said, you should be a veterinarian instead, kind of thing. And I remember I went to high school in California, and I didn't go to a very trades high school. So there was no automotive class or nothing like that. And when I came back to Canada, I did Webull education. And I remember the very first time I walked into the tech class, the automotive shop in there, and the smells and the engine parts, I knew right away that was me. Like I felt it in my heart, like everywhere. And I went for it and I absolutely loved it. And all my dreams that I had as a child came true. Unfortunately, cars kind of turned. So I went to a different approach. I went to roofing and then now construction. But it's been an awesome journey. It's given me amazing wages. It's given me pension benefits. It's been an amazing journey and I absolutely love it. And it was a really good feeling knowing that I didn't have to go to college or university. I could make good money, good pension, good benefits, and still do things with my hands, right? Do trades, skill trades, things like that. So it's been awesome. I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's funny you say 6 years old because when I was about 6, I had a Barbie who had overalls, and my dad built me a Trans Am, and like she would fix the Trans Am and ride the Trans Am.
Yeah.
And so I never really got into the pink Barbie stuff. I think you know pretty young if you want to.
Oh, yeah.
Tracey, why did you join the skill trades?
I joined the skilled trades because I think it was just the warrior woman I was back then. I had to prove a point, and that there's spaces for us women in the skilled trades. And it was, even though, back then when I can remember, I was a welder, press operator, the only woman on the Viper Sports line. all of those things that I look back today, and it was, yeah, you know what, that was an opportunity to show myself that I can do it. You know, I had a pretty amazing father that supported me, and you know, because he knew I liked to fish, he knew I liked to hunt, he knew I like I remember going back the bush cutting wood. So all of those things, like I wasn't, you know, kind of what you said, Danny, I wasn't into the Barbies. I
Yeah.
wasn't into, I wanted to, I got into the skilled trades because I knew I was such a warrior woman about diversity, equality, and that women can do it too. And I think that's what kept me going because, you know, like Jim was saying, I've been around and, and back then, I can remember at SAS Manufacturing, we didn't even have our own change room. I said, so where do I change? They go, the secretary's bathroom. You know, that's your bathroom over there. And the guys would have all their lockers and change room and their cafeteria room, but there was no space for me. But you know, it made me stronger, and it just, that due diligence, that divert, all of those things that I continue to always go back and say, I had a good supported husband back then. And he says, no, bud, you go back and do this. I got you. And so skilled trades, it was, I don't know, at the time, um, it was something I really wanted to do, and I realized that was my purpose.
It's one thing when you're talking that reminds me about you is, you know, beware whoever tells you you can't.
I'm gonna do it.
That's right. Jim, how about you? Why did you join the skilled trades?
Well, back when I was coming out of public school, you were given a choice. Are you going to take like a arts and science course, or are you going to take a trades and technical course? And so this was in the 60s. And I had no idea. All I knew was I really was bored in school. I really didn't care for any of it. So I said, well, I'll take the trades course because, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. I had no example of, you could be of what it looked like to work in an office or any other setting. I didn't know. So and it was at Weeble too. I went to Weeble because I lived in the East End, and in grade 9, right away, you get an opportunity to try all these different things, whether it's, electricity and auto body and auto mechanics and carpentry. And I found out like right away, as soon as I started, I liked welding, and I'm a licensed body man. I did heavy collision for 30 years. I'm retired for a while now, but I did heavy collision work, and I found out I liked it. And I found out it was like, when you get a car in and it's crushed and you got to fix it, it's all about problem solving. And I found out I was good at problem solving, and I was good at putting things back together. And and so that's where I ended up. That's the stream I got in. Actually, it started in grade 9, right?
Yeah.
And probably if I didn't have that opportunity to have somebody show me those things, I would have had no direction to do that either. So
It's interesting, like all of our stories are somewhat the same. Like school wasn't our thing so much, but having like something with the trades where, in my opinion, is just as important as college and university, but it's a different way of thinking, and it gives a place for those folks that, the book learning isn't as easy. I did a talk the other day at children's services, and there's a bunch of kids there saying like, I just can't do school. I'm like, me neither. How about you try the trades, right? Like, and it's something that's so meaningful, so powerful. And one of the kids there said, if there's a zombie apocalypse, we'll always need skilled trades. So there's that too.
yeah, for me, I didn't know what direction. I had nobody to give me, an example for a direction or what to do. But I, school was honestly school was really easy for me. But I was bored to tears there.
Me
I
too.
was just bored.
Tracey, can you tell us a positive story about your skilled trades journey? You're on mute.
Hold on a second. There we go. Something positive about my skilled trades. Well, it made me who I am today. I can say that. You know, um, resilience to be able to overcome, you know, the different systemic gender, you know, violence that was within that I had to fight for and what I believed in. And and today I look at it like accomplishment, resilience, and opportunities to be that positive role model so that other women, you know, young girls, if that's something that they want to do, that it's okay. You know, like I go way back to in the 70s and 80s, and there was no such thing as girls taking skill trades in high school. You know, we had to take home ec and sewing. I failed sewing. I failed home ec.
Me too.
I mean, I could cook today, and you're not going to see me sew today.
Me
I'm
neither.
sorry. But, you know, so yeah, a positive story about skilled trades. And it is that opportunities. And, you know, I had some pretty amazing um, role models that were males that eventually, when they realized that I'm not going to quit and I'm going to stay there, I got to build some positive relationships. And a couple of I remember a couple of good guys that were team lead or supervisors that they did take me under their belt and they did teach me how to run the machines, you know,
Yeah.
tool and die. They did, you know, so those are good positive stories, you know, stay in there and do your fight, you know, but not in a violent way and just keep moving. And I did what I believed in. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a good like story about, it's not always going to be hard. And if you work
No,
hard and you put yourself out there, you're able to find these sort of powerful role models.
yes, don't give up.
When
Don't give
you
up.
when you were talking about home ec, I think I lasted 3 weeks and the home ec teacher walked me across the shop and said, she's not belonging here. You have to get her out of here before she breaks something.
I,
Alicia, a, a positive story about traits. Your
Positive for trades for me, kind of what the other lady said, kind of made me who I am today. With trades, when I first started out, because I was a girl, I had a lot of guys trying to break me, trying to figure out if this is what I wanted to do or if I could do it. And at first, it sucked. I used to go home and cry. My body hurt so bad from the things I had to do, and I was small at the time, but it made me into a very strong physically and mental person. I remember, like, I don't know, just like listening to them telling me that I was going to fail and me taking that and basically using it as fuel to light a fire under my butt to just keep going and to prove every single one of them wrong. And after 2, 3 years went by, I remember sitting there with them and I honestly thanked them. And I was like, if you guys didn't push me and didn't believe in me the way that you did, I probably wouldn't know how well I could work or how hard I could work or the things that I was able to do or accomplish or things like that, right? And it was probably one of my favorite things. It sucked at the time, but I really appreciated that. And then I think just like the relationships I've built over the years in trades, I've met a lot of wonderful people in the trades and then the opportunities that have come from the trades. When I started at Leuna, I did the pre-apprenticeship program. I got thrown into sewer and water main, first girl in sewer and water main, woot woot. And then I did my apprenticeship through there. Fast forward 6 years, I got the opportunity to come in and start being a trainer just for my reputation out in the field. So then I took that course and I started training the members, their safety courses. And then just from doing good at that, I then got the job position to train the apprentices. If you told me 10 years ago that I'd be a teacher at a union hall, I'd probably laugh at you because school was not for me. But just, I don't know, I've always worked hard and I've always fought for everything. And I mean, sometimes it's hard and it gets frustrating and you get tired because you're constantly having to prove yourself. But then you just get the little burst of energy again and you just keep going, you keep fighting, and you keep showing people that just because we're girls doesn't mean we can't do it. We'll probably do it. We might do it better, and we're stubborn. So if you tell us we're not going to do it, we will find a way to prove you wrong and do it. So that's just kind of my thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Aliesha and I just got back from Chicago. We went to the women trades in Chicago, and there was like 6,000 women in trades there, which was pretty powerful. And on the ride up, we were talking about, things were hard, like you said, like your body's sore, but you just find better tools, right? Like it's not like we can't do it. You just need the proper tools, longer wrenches, bigger hammers, whatever you need. Jim.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know how to answer that question other than, I think in what the trades gave me was a really a good opportunity to provide for my family. Whether it was in the dealership where I was working, and at times if there wasn't a lot of work, you weren't making any money there. I always was able to go out and make money somewhere, and because I had that skill and sell myself to, as far as go and work in somebody else's garage, get them, somebody who needed what I could do. And so having that skill and having that being trained always helped. The other thing I really enjoyed was I liked it when we had apprentices, when a new apprentice, because you always feel like you could it's not just about when I had an apprentice around, I was always wanted to teach them tricks of the trade, how to do the job, but also to talk about what it means to tie your boots on and come to work every day, and all the things that it takes to be good at what you do, right? And to not get dragged astray, maybe like I did at the start. But it's good that you have somebody I like it. I always enjoyed that thing, to take somebody under my wing and make sure that they were going to be okay, and they show them the right way. So those are some of the things I really enjoyed about my job.
My dad, so everywhere I go and talk about trades, I always talk about my dad. And apprenticeship also was like a big part of his life. And for the first 10 years of my life, I thought I had like 7 uncles because, for 6 months or a year, there would be a guy at the dinner table every Sunday, because dad said like important part of the trades is that it's family and that you do good in the community. So he'd expect you to come and be polite at the table, because he expected tradespeople to be polite, like that they were honorable and good people. And then he would make them do community work before he'd sign off on their trade books. So like I just thought that's how it was. It was shocking for me when I actually started working the trade, but I really thought they were like everybody was like my dad. All right. What is one thing that's been a barrier for you, Aliesha?
I think the one thing being a barrier, kind of what I recently said, but was when I was trying to start out in the trades. I had a lot of companies that they thought I was going to fail before they even gave me the chance to fail. And I remember even in construction in 2019, the one company I was with, they were making me do very like silly jobs, like count trucks or pull weeds, just like odd things like that. And that's not why I joined construction. That's not why I joined Sewer and Water Main. I joined because I want to get my hands dirty. Throw me in there. And I remember having to like go to them and being like, "Can I do something more?" And they'd be like, "Okay, yeah, sure, just wait." And it was like fast forward a year and a half and still wasn't happening. So then I had to like call people and like have meetings and be like, give me a chance. Like, don't expect me to fail without giving me the chance to actually fail. I think that was like the hardest thing for me, was trying to get people to take me serious as a girl in the trades. And sewer and water main, it's not light work. It's a very physical job, right? We kind of talked about it in Chicago, but it's a very physically demanding job. And I remember being on a sewer crew for the very first time, and there's something called a jumping jack. That thing weighs 120 pounds. At the time, I weighed 140 pounds soaking wet. Like, I struggled with that thing so much. But again, I wasn't going to ask nobody for help. So I hit the gym every single day after work. I went to the gym, practiced my strength training, and then eventually could use, like, could pick that thing up. But I think that was the biggest thing, was just people right away not giving me the chance to be able to prove myself.
Oh, we lost Jim. It's interesting, Alicia, like with 1059, I work there too. And one of the biggest complaints I hear from women that try to start is the same thing, right? They're given the jobs, they're holding the clipboards, they're down at the bottom of a high build, and these pieces are happening. And then we talked a little bit about some of our companies, I won't say their names, but have like women programs where they have women only crews. And those crews are just not sent out to the real jobs. And so, when we talk about women in trades and when GECO talks about women in trades, it's really about meaningful work. Like, we're not saying that we should create spots for women and expect them not to do the work, right? We need to create openings and safe work, but I think we all can do the work when we get there. So I guess we don't get to ask what barrier was for Jim until he gets back.
It's back.
So the last question before we just open it up for some conversation is, what would you tell your 15-year-old self now?
So first I wanted to answer the barrier
Oh
for
yes, sorry,
myself.
go ahead.
That's okay. Jim kind of threw me off too. Where'd he go? I think that the biggest barrier for me is when I kind of reflect back was ticking the box. Being an Indigenous woman and then a female, and then all of a sudden, okay, we got it. We're gonna bring her in, and then you're all excited, I get to do the work, and then you're doing, I don't know, scab jobs. You're not even doing what you signed up for. Or, I remember different union work. They would make you do something that the unions, the guys that were in the union didn't have to do, but because I'm not part of the union, they'd send me in there to do that. They'd send me into, like, I remember we were painting, so we'd have to do those grain dryers. And so we'd have to first tack them and then weld them, and then there's the painting. Well, not having the improper, because I didn't know you're in there to learn,
Yeah.
and apprentice and so forth. And as a trainee, I went in there and you didn't have the proper attire. I'm lucky I didn't pass out, and it was funny to them.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, where I remember this one where there was one of the guys were welding and purposely dropping those stick welding butts out of the guns and dropping it on me, hoping that it would burn me, or things like that. That was a barrier. And it was not only, we can, I'm not here to chop men up at all, at all, period, but it was just, when you're getting into those skilled trades, that non-open mindedness that a woman can do that work. But also I was getting it from some women too, that, what are you doing? Like, you're supposed to be over here. Right? It's like, but that's not who I am. So, the barrier is sexism, and all of those things. But, I was able to turn those barriers, into where it was a learning. I was able to learn from them. And again, it made me who I am today. And if somebody asked me, would I do it all over again? Heck yeah.
When I got my welding tickets, I was at 3M, and they would make me go into the vats. We made glue and stuff, and I'd go in the vats, and we had to stainless steel weld the pieces. And at the time I was much smaller and I could fit in. And then when we had a full-time welder, I'm sure Jim knows him well, but when he retired, they told me, oh, we're not going to replace a welder. We don't need a full-time welder. But yet I'd been welding for months, doing stuff that our welder couldn't do. And it was like, that's great. um, Jim, what is one thing that was a barrier for you?
Well, I have to be honest, there wasn't that many barriers for me. And
That's
you know,
sort of the point of the conversation.
I think I obviously I get that part. And you know, doors, yeah, I guess when you're a man going into a man's world, the doors open, and I get that. I get that. And so I didn't have a lot of barriers. I think I found that in the garage, like in the work I was doing, there was a lot of things that were unfair. And I think going into the trades, one of the things when you prove that you can do your job and you can do it well, it lets you start to be a fighter as well. And and that was something that was developed, that I developed. But was there barriers? I don't think so. Not for me. You know, I understand how hard it is for others. And I understand that it's people like me who have to be the change. You know,
It's
it,
interesting to me. So we didn't talk really about it, but after you put your tools down, you went and you were the financial
so,
secretary at Unifor Local 27. And I think you faced barriers there because you supported women, right? Like you gave us opportunity and you encouraged us. And I can remember a couple close to election times that you got pushback from people because you're like, if you don't stop encouraging those women, they're going to run against us. And so I know you smile because you don't remember that, but it was like, well, I'm sure
no,
you remember it, but you don't want to acknowledge, but it was very
I,
powerful in my career. And now I'm a business rep, right?
I was,
I wouldn't have gotten there without you. So I think
I
you
was
did face it.
I was never very afraid of the pushback. I wasn't too afraid of the pushback ever. I was pretty secure in that position. I always felt good there. But I didn't mind being challenged, and I didn't mind challenging people. And when I said about the change has to come. We can, as women, you can support women and do all those things, but unfortunately, is men who've been in the trades all the years. When you go to apply for a job, you know, the maintenance manager is a man, and he's a barrier.
Yeah.
And until they figure it out, until they fit those people figure it out that uh, you can't look at gender. Just have to give people a chance, and if they can't do the job, they can't do the job. I mean, we understand. You know, everyone should understand that, but people have to be given equal opportunity and have to be given a chance, and have to, and we have to try hard to make them succeed as well. We have to try, but it has to start with guys like me. I get it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, Tracy. Now, what would you tell your 15-year-old self? You're on mute.
There it is. I was trying to hit it 3 times and finally three's a charm. What would I tell my 15-year-old self about skilled trades? Um,
And it doesn't even have to be about skilled trades. Like I think about,
anything, you
yeah, it's
know,
like being, yeah.
be all that you can be, stand in your light, believe in yourself, you know, you're that warrior woman inside of you, and continue to, you know, walk your purpose, look at your purpose. And I don't know. I mean, what would it be the same thing I tell my 15-year-old grandson? If that's your calling, and if that makes you happy, and that brings joy, peace, and into your life, and that fulfills you, if that's, go ahead and create your success story, because it's you that's going to create your success story. And just keep believing in yourself, keep believing in who you are.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Aliesha?
I would tell my 15-year-old self probably that you're going to be great. When I was 15, I didn't have any knowledge of different options for me. And I mean, when you're in, well, every kid knows, when you're in high school, it's what are you going to be when you grow up? What classes are you going to take in college? what are you going to go to university for? And I remember being so scared because I knew there was no college university for me. Like I was not going to be able to make it in there. I barely passed grade 8. Like I cannot do schooling. So I was so scared. So I know recently, like we've been trying to get out the trades a lot more, even public school kids, which is amazing, which is great. Because it's good to know that you have all those other options. And I also went down a hard road. I got into a lot of trouble, and a lot of people didn't think I was going to become anything. So I would love to tell my 15-year-old self at the time, like, just keep going, just keep pushing. You are going to do really great things. You're going to meet a lot of great people. Have faith in yourself, even if no one else does. Just keep pushing through the shit, and you'll come out on top.
It's funny every time you talk, I think about how close our life was, because I was a little asshole in high school too, and I just could not manage to do the right thing. Jim?
Yeah, no, I think it's basically the same message. Don't give up. There will always be barriers. There's always going to be people to try to knock you back for whatever reason, even when you're a man. Not just it's in life, and don't give up, and keep going, and just keep listening to that thing that's in the back of your head that keeps saying you can do it, you can do it. Keep telling yourself.
Mm.
So, and we are all stronger than we know, and we can all achieve a lot more than we think. You know, when we look back, when you finally get there and you look back, you'll amaze yourself, just if you don't give up.
Yeah. So we'll do a round of final thoughts, and I again just want to thank you all for sharing your stories. And one thing, when I hear, young women talk or women talk about the trades, I also just want to acknowledge sort of my privilege. And I do this because when I went to welding school, there was no toilet seat, and the bathroom was disgusting, and I couldn't use it. And I would like talk about how much that pissed me off. But there is a real privilege of being like a young blonde, I think I was cute back then, girl in welding school, that they stopped, right? They stopped the class when I left. I mean, I made a bit of a fuss about it, but they stopped the school. And so there was some sort of privilege because I always did have a tool in my hand. I didn't understand, I couldn't. And so I think we need to acknowledge too that we need to support all kinds of different people coming in the trades, and that path isn't as easy for some of us as it is for others. It was hard for me, but I know it was way easier than it is for a lot of people. So final thoughts. Tracey.
Well, first of all, I want to acknowledge, Dani, Amanda, and the other lady. I can't pronounce the one that was, she did all the communicating, but, and all of you here for creating space to give us an opportunity to share some of our experiences, maybe some of our barriers, some of our ups and downs. And, my final thought is that, you know, you can do anything which you put your mind to, believing in yourself and believing that you can move forward and anything. And then that's in any, gender justice role, diversity, equality comes in all levels, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And, I just want, again, thank you so much for allowing me to come and share and reflection of how I was able to restore myself in the skilled trades. And, again, like I said, if it wasn't for all that I went through and learning how to break through those barriers, I wouldn't be who I am today. Thank you.
Awesome. I love that restoring.
Hmm.
Jim.
Yeah, no, I want to thank you for asking me to do this. I appreciate it, and I just want to final thoughts. I just reinforce that I think it's really important that we start introducing young women, young men to the trades early in school, and but young women especially. And yeah, listen, I didn't have to take sewing class, and I might have benefited from it, right? So let's like
You would have gotten kicked out just like I did.
probably, but those are the things we need to start doing so that it normalize women in the trades
Yeah.
and normalize picking up tools for women and make it normal like that. Honest to God, I would tell you this. My son works in an office with a computer and he's thriving. I tried to get him into the trades and he cried in the morning. You can't make me go to work. I don't like it. You know, my daughter thrived in the factory setting and loved that she was able to pick up a skill. So it's normal that we all are different and that we can do different things. And like I say, that's one of the things we have to understand. But we also, as I was saying before, we have to fight to make sure that the people who are doing the hiring, and obviously they're always going to be old men because they were the ones who were make the vast majority of trades, that they get it, that they give an opportunity. And we have to sometimes, because for the first 30 years of my life I did collision work in a body shop. For the next 20 years I was a union rep. So I understand we also have a role to play in the workplace to open doors and to make sure that if we're having an apprenticeship program, that they look at women and they bring women in, and that it isn't enough just to leave it up to the company. Sometimes we have to reach in and negotiate that we can sit on that committee that's assessing who the next person is going to get an apprenticeship might be. So those are things we can do, and it's important that we do them.
Amazing. Aliesha.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank you guys for having me. It's been great and awesome, and I enjoyed listening to everybody's stories. For me, I'm going to go back to Chicago and kind of what we talked about. I think it is absolutely amazing now in 2025 that there was almost 6,000 women in trades in Chicago. Like that absolutely blew my mind. Because when I first started off in the trades, there wasn't a girl in sight. I knew of a couple welders, but definitely not mechanics or construction workers or electricians, plumbers. Like there was nothing. So to be in a room full of 6,000 women, the times are changing finally, right? And I think they can keep evolving. And I hope that one day it's no longer, oh, wow, look, a girl on site. It's just normal. Like normalizing girls on site would be absolutely amazing. And I hope that it gets out there more, give more girls options to be able to do trades, help them out, and just basically normalize it. I think that would be the best thing for everything.
Well, and I'll just say it's powerful what you do in training, because that apprentice comes in and sees a woman at the front of the room, and there's some real power in that. Like that's how we start to make change. I mean, I would like to see more women sitting in the seats that you're teaching in, but it's powerful for the young men to come in and see, and it builds respect, right? Everybody respect, well, not everybody, but you should respect your instructors. So, there's some real power. So on behalf of Gender Equality Coalition, I want to thank you for sharing your stories and kicking off our speaker series season. We will be recording this and sharing it, so I hope that's okay, because I didn't ask you before. But anyway, thank you so much.
It's all good. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
We're done. See you.
We're done. I just have to figure out how to turn off the recording. Found it.